How's it going, YouTube? Classic Oldsmobile here. I know it's been a little bit since I put out a video, but this is one I've been wanting to put together, and I've been trying to put the thoughts together in my head, what all I wanted to include. This is on my 2021 Kia K5 EX. I bought this car back in August of 2020, and I've made several videos on this car over the years, this being the 5-year update. I wanted to put some stuff together to calculate costs and such for y'all. Now, it's not a complete perfect order. There are some things missing. I didn't factor in fuel. I didn't factor in insurance. I didn't factor in car payments, things like that. I mainly went for maintenance. I also added in things that were done under warranty, and also things that just kind of came up, including the accident that occurred with the car, unfortunately. I think I spoke about it before. It's where the front bumper got damaged, the under tray got damaged, and the intercooler was damaged. I was coming home from work, and a vehicle had dropped off on the middle of the road, and I wasn't able to see it. I wasn't able to get around it in time. I couldn't stop without causing a multi-vehicle accident, so I did the best I could and straddled it, but it was a wooden shipping pallet that had fallen off a truck, and that did do some damage to the car, resulting in about $2,800 in damage. And I did put that in. Now, it doesn't factor towards the total cost. I only factored in my deductible on my insurance. But yeah, this is not the original front bumper for the car, which I should do a review on that alone. I never did get it back in. I probably should have. They really didn't do as good as a job as it at first appeared, but it was winter time, and I really wasn't paying that close attention. But it does have a lot of imperfections in it, such as right in here. You can see some, I don't know how well the camera picks it up, some rough edges, and the biggest problem now being that the paint is peeling right in here from it. But honestly, I'm at the point now where I'm just going to let it go. You can get parts for these cars easier now. It was so long ago, it's not even worth the fight anymore. So I'm just going to probably end up replacing the bumper. And part of that is I want to do research and replace it with a, potentially with a GT or GT line, and see if I can add the fog lights. Whether that can be done, I don't know. We shall see. But the main thing is I just wanted to go over what the last 5 years has been like with this car. And I don't want to go too much in rambling and such, but a general condition of the car, the overview of the car. Now, it does need a good buff and wax. It has not been done yet this year. It's coming up on its due for me to do all that. As you can see, I don't know if I updated this in these videos at all, but I did put on front rotors and pads or the power stop cross drilled and slotted. Due to warping in the front rotors, plus the pads were starting to get down, I had it in for inspection one year, and they were like, hey, these are getting low. And I said, fine, I will do them myself, of course. And they were starting to warp, so it was easier just to go ahead and put those on. I'd already had them on my Oldsmobile and loved them. The rears are probably going to get done, but they're still fine, so I hate to mess with them. Probably next year is what will end up happening. The other thing that happened with the car is the tail light. This driver's side tail lens right here, brake light and reverse light, began getting water in it. It actually accumulated all the way up to about here in water. What I ended up doing is, instead of going through the hassle of, or I should say spending the money and replacing the light with the one that was already on there, because this had the non-LED tail lights. This had the base model tail lights on it, where this doesn't illuminate. I was able to update this to the version with the LED tail lights. It's a little hard to see in this lighting. Maybe I'll try to throw a picture in. But now this whole piece lights up, which is something I always thought this car did, and it didn't when I first got it, and I was disappointed. And so now it has those. These are still incandescent, the turn signal in reverse, but these are LED here on the car. And I did both sides in the center. I did factor in the cost of just this light, purely because of the fact that it's not something that had to be done to replace all of them. It was something I chose to do. But the regular lens for a used lens was about the same price, and the new lens was slightly more, around the price of just the base model light. I could have got an LED light, so it only made sense. But we'll go over some of that here in a moment. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how the exterior of the car has turned, how it has come after 5 years of ownership. Now I do live in Pennsylvania, so it is subject to winters and salt and all that fun stuff. So this car does have the undercoating, the fluid film undercoating on it. But not to get too much further into just walking around the car, let's get inside and I'm going to go over a few things with you. Okay, hopping in, we can see we have, I did see, 22,092 miles on it. Go ahead and fire it up. And hopefully the AC isn't too loud for y'all, but it's hot. All right. So let's go ahead and get logged into the here. I might put a printable version on it, but I'm mainly just going to be talking about it. So hopefully you'll be able to see it well enough. As far as the history goes, I did purchase it on August 10th of 2020. It had 43 miles on the odometer. The MSRP of the car, this was before all the fees and taxes and everything, was $29,225. The only thing that this car had additional on the EX package was the mud flaps, which I don't know how they consider the mud flaps, whatever. And I think it added carpeted floor mats, which I don't understand. I've of course removed those, and I have the WeatherTech mats in the car. Right off the bat, the first oil change, well, I did that at 1164. And then the big issue, the first issues that occurred with this car was around 1,300 miles. The car shut off while I was driving. That was due to a grounding issue, where a ground came loose under the hood. I believe I spoke about this in another video as well, at which point the car shut off and it blew the fuse for the coil packs. It's a whole different issue. I'm not even going to get into it, but that of course was $0, as that was covered under the insurance. The first oil change being around $35. Now the oil changes don't factor in a whole lot as far as pricing. I didn't go and research exactly what I spent on the filter and exactly what I spent on the oil at that moment. I kind of went and found a receipt, saw how much I spent, and just added that to the rest of the time. The first few oil changes were cheaper, as I bought the oil filters at a lower price in bulk. They were the original Kia branded filters. I have transitioned since to using Wix branded filters, so the price does go up a little bit. The next major thing that was of cost to me outside of maintenance was the fuel filler door. The actuator that locks it. The door will lock and unlock with your doors to keep people from tampering with your fuel tank. That item went bad. That went bad in June of 2021 with 4,600 miles on the car. That was something that would have been covered under warranty, and the reason it did not get covered under warranty was purely I did not feel like leaving my car. After the incident at 1,300 miles back in October of 2020, I was kind of burned out with the dealerships, and it kind of just went to a situation where they told me it was going to be 2 weeks, I'd have to leave it, and they would look at it, as they were so backed up, and the part was $65, so I just went and bought it and put it on myself and fixed it. Do with that as you want. You could have taken it and had it done under warranty, but due to lost time and being without the vehicle, it's just easier. I did list up here when the accident occurred with the car. It was in January, roughly, of 2021, December of 2020, in that range of time. It had 1,900 miles on it at the time. The total cost of the damage is around $2,700, and my deductible was $500, so I did factor that in, as it was a cost that had to be paid for. Unfortunately, it's not something that all these cars, or I should say, it's not something that these cars are all going to result in, and it's a cost that you probably won't see. So just wanted to add it in there, as it was a cost of ownership, and it was a fairly large one. After that, it's mainly just oil changes, state inspections, tire rotations. The next big thing comes in around July of 2023. Now, it is not a big cost to me, but it was the horns. Both horns had failed. They no longer would sound when pressing the button or panic, the horn button on the steering wheel, or in the panic mode. And I also started developing a bearing noise coming from the steering column. So when you would turn the wheel, you could hear like a hum or a grind coming from the steering column, which is apparently a common issue on these cars as well. They were able to repair that under warranty, and they also repaired the horns under warranty. I didn't factor in any recalls, but they also had done a recall check on it, 2 different places. Under the first issue where the car died, they did a recall check on the trim, and I believe something dealing with the fuel tank. And then again, at the time of the state inspection where the horns had failed, they did the recall for the side curtain airbags that could potentially be placed incorrectly. After that issue occurred, not long after, around 15,000 miles, I don't have the exact mileage, in January of 2024, it rang out at 15,000 miles roughly. The overhead console up here, the passenger side light had failed. So I noticed it was dark in the car one day, and I looked up and this light wasn't here. If you would pound on it, the light would come in and come out, and then it failed completely. Now this is a overhead console light out of a 2024 that had about 3,000 miles on it, judging by the Carfax, because they did list the VIN on eBay for this part. I bought this part used because buying it from the dealer was around $350, and at that point the car had been out of the bumper warranty, and I was not about to try to fight. Any electronics warranty, I believe, was out at this time, and it wasn't even worth going through the hassle. I bought this part here for, let's see here, gotta forgive me, about $51. Then we do the front pads and rotors around 17,000 miles. That was $193 for those. The other big expense was, of course, tires. I did have to, we're jumping back up, sorry, around 9,000 miles, I did have to put tires on the car. That is factoring in state inspection, emissions testing, balancing, and an alignment. They messed that up, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, that came out to around $882, and that was at 9,000 miles, and in June of 2022. As you can tell, I really don't drive much. Now around 20,000 miles, which I was talking about when we were outside the car, the taillight lens had begun getting moisture in it. Once again, something that was not going to be under any warranties at this point. The car just has some, I believe, rust warranties, emissions warranty, climate control warranty, because they apparently always fail in these, and it has the 10-year 100,000 mile Kia warranty for the powertrain. It does not have any of the electronics warranties remaining, anything like that. So I just went ahead and replaced it. The taillight for the used good condition one was $132.50 shipped with tax. You could probably find it cheaper. You could pay more if you wanted to get it new from the dealership. None of this is factoring in labor, because I did the labor on most of this stuff myself, an exception of the inspections and the tire installation and rotations. Those are all factored in. That brings you to a total of $2,424.16. That is not adding in, I believe I did not factor in a air filter for the engine. I only have one of those listed, and that is for the fact that I had purchased a K&N air filter. During the time of making this, I was not able to locate where I bought that from, or when I put that in, but it would have been somewhere around, the first air filter was put in 1,000 miles-ish, in 2021, 2022 that I put that in, and I believe it was around $50 with tax. So you could add an additional $50. The other thing I don't put on here is the cabin air filters, because I don't actually have a record of those, as I don't feel that those were anything of maintenance that is of importance. Maybe for the climate control warranty they would want to see that, but I'm not sure. The first one I had purchased from Kia was around $30, and after that I have been buying them third party, because the third parties are actually nicer construction, and they actually have a carbon activated material in them, where the factory ones do not appear to, even though they say they do. They are about $15 each time. I've probably put 3 or 4 of them in, probably 5 honestly at this point. Oil changes, of course, there was several of those. I've done more oil changes on the vehicle than what the vehicle required. I believe it's 7,500 miles is oil change interval, 5 to 75,000 or 7,500 miles, depending on your driving conditions. I do it somewhere between 3 and 4,500. I think the longest being close to 5,000 miles in the time that I've had it. Now, all those oil changes added up, to be honest with you, probably still cost less than what you would have paid to have somebody else do it each time the oil needed to be changed. So I probably spent about the same, if not less, in oil changes, even knowing I've done more of them because I do them myself. So take that as you will as well. Now, the total additional for the taillights, if you want to add that in, was an additional $132.50 for the other light on the passenger side of the car, and then it was an additional, I believe, $150 for the center light. So these are costs that didn't need to necessarily be done at that point, but I did it as an upgrade for the car. So overall, I don't think the $2,000 in 5 years of ownership is a terrible amount of ownership, especially when you factor in the fact that, oh, Kias are so unreliable. Now, you could have changes to that if you drive more, being that I only have 2,200 miles on the car in 5 years. It could be a higher expense at that point. Also, you may have had more failures at that point. I'm sure you definitely would have been on another set of tires, which I'm probably getting near to needing as well. Overall, the car has been great. I've really enjoyed it. I really like how the car drives, how the car rides. It's, like I said, it's been fairly reliable. As far as condition of the car over the 5 years, paint really doesn't hold up all that well. I've talked about that in other videos. Very easily scratched, very easily deteriorated, which is kind of disappointing, but I think that's pretty much with all modern paint these days. And with a black car, it shows more. At least unlike the white ones, some of the older white Kias that the paint was peeling off, it hasn't done that yet, an exception to the front bumper. The steering wheel, the leather steering wheel, despite the fact I have taken very good care of it, in my opinion, constantly cleaning it, regularly I should say, cleaning it and conditioning it, it has begun to show some signs of age, with little nicks and such, and some soft slick areas on the wheel where you can see the wear. Overall, the seats themselves, the passenger seat really doesn't get used much. Neither does the back seat. They have held up very well. Driver's seat has also about the same condition, maybe a little bit more wear in the bolstering, but overall not bad. Rear view mirror has started to show some delamination on the bottom of it, which is interesting for me, but it is what it is. But like I said, the car's been pretty good. Over 5 years, I'm very happy with the car. If I was to purchase another Kia or purchase another car, I would definitely consider another K5. I'm going to have to splice this back together thanks to the wonderful world of GoPro, where it decides to overheat despite the fact that I'm sitting in an air-conditioned car. Anyways, I was starting to say that I would consider buying another K5 if I was to get another one, but to be honest with you, at this point, I think I'm just going to see this car out. I'm going to hold on to it for a while. I don't have any plans on getting rid of it anytime soon. I plan on keeping it well past payoff as long as there's no catastrophic issues between then and now. If the transmission or the engine was to go, I'd probably get rid of it after it was fixed, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want to deal with it having a new engine, even knowing it would be technically resetting the mileage on the engine. I just don't like when that stuff has been messed with. That's my opinion. You do with that as you wish, but I would probably wash my hands of it at that point once it was fixed. Definitely enjoy driving around in a rental though during the time they were fixing it. I always enjoy getting to drive different cars and experience them. One more thing to mention as I close out this video, I don't want to ramble too much. I want to have some precise points in this video. One other issue these cars have been experiencing, and this car has had the recall done twice on it. They've had a revision to it, is you've probably been seeing the swelling fuel tanks in the K5s. This car is subject to that. They have yet to, from my research with the Kia documentation through ALLDATA and such, there is no remedy outside of what they've been testing on these cars, basically. There is no 100% fix. I don't really think they understand what's going on. They have reprogrammed the computer and inspected the fuel tank twice on the car to address this issue. The first time that they did it was a year ago. I had taken it in for the recall after getting the notification. It was around July of 2024, right before the inspection of that year, or I should say right after that inspection. I had taken it to Kia. They reprogrammed it and said they did not find any issues with it, and inspected the, I guess there is a purge valve, one-way valve in the purge system for the evap. They said it is functioning normally. One thing I had noticed not long after getting that recall done, it doesn't state it anywhere in it, and I haven't seen anybody online complaining about it, but I was having a hot soak startup issue afterwards. It was very random, very intermittent. I wasn't sure if it was anything related, and I really didn't think about it until later that it was probably that. Whenever I would shut the car off, say I drove it about 15-20 minutes. If I was to park the car, shut the car off, wait about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then restart the car, so you go quickly into a store, grab something, come back out, the car would occasionally start and then stall. And it would be a struggled start. It would be a longer cranking period. The car would start, never really pick up RPM, and then would die out. The car would immediately start again afterwards, and it happened, I think, 2 times over a year. Once I had the car in recently for the inspection again. I wasn't aware, but they had updated that recall, and they did the recall again. I actually got the notification in the day after I got the car inspected that the recall was coming up and needed to be done. I was like, wow, that's timing. They reprogrammed the computer again, and they checked that valve again, and it is passed their test according to what they say. So I have noticed after having that done, the car definitely seems like the RPMs are a little higher on startup, particularly on a hot start. It does not seem to be doing that same issue, because I had noticed that it even when it wouldn't die, that it kind of seemed like the car struggled a little bit on starts occasionally, particularly when it was hot. I have not noticed that since. Whether that is related, I have no idea, but it is something I wanted to bring up. Maybe somebody else can chime in if they have one of these cars and they're just watching this for entertainment purposes, or to see how my experience has been, if they have experienced that at all. It's a reminder, this is the 2021 Kia K5 EX with the 1.6 turbo. This car was produced in, I believe I'll get you the exact date here in case you're wondering. This was produced June 24th, 2020. So it's a fairly early production car. I believe all the cars fall in starting in March of 2020 of production, where this recall has been affecting them. But yeah, anyways, the car's been great. Very happy with it. Not disappointed in the purchase at all. I feel like the car's been worth it. It's honestly one of my favorite cars I've owned. It does everything it needs to do. It gets decent fuel economy. and it's fun to drive. It's got a nice ride. Not very many complaints there. So I'd like to thank you all for watching again. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, would like to subscribe, it's always appreciated. Just go ahead and put that down below. And thanks for watching. Have a good one.